Hello, welcome to V8 Inspires, and today is about my new series called Strictly Personal. This is the first issue. This series comprised of stuff that are in the description. It's personal. I'm gonna be disclosing a lot of stuff, that I've been struggling with and things that I have been, the challenges that I have, and I hope that makes a lot of sense to you, and I hope you get a lot of value from it, and also get the sense that you're not alone. So today on our first issue, we'll be discussing the fact about millennials, right? So in my defense to millennials, right? So there has been a lot of conversation around the fact that millennials are bunch of snowflakes who are just too soft for the real world, right? To some extent, I agree with that term, but again, I disagree with it to the other extent, which is the fact that a lot of people can take that concept to the extreme, and then still stigmatize the real issues that we are struggling with, especially in these modern times, right? So the issue when it comes to subject like mental health, right? There's a lot of stigma to it. You're deemed too soft, too weak. You shouldn't be expressing your emotions, especially when it comes to men. And that tends to be more dangerous and more disastrous than helpful. Because when you don't express how you feel and when you don't, open up and try to get help, you actually live in your head. And we know the suicide rate when it comes to men and women. And that's just one statistics to prove that this idea of staunch male ideology, it's not working, right? So in my defense to millennials, I actually feel that we should discuss this issue of mental health in a positive light, in a progressive light, that we can talk about the issues and get the help that we need. So to tell you a little bit about me, mine is more like a self-inflicted malady, right? So whenever I'm not doing these videos, whenever I'm not striving to succeed, whenever I'm not pushing myself to the ambitions that I clearly have to do, I tend to, sometimes I just feel like ending it all. Because the pressure to fit in, the pressure to grow up, the pressure to be responsible, the pressure to perform, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to obey the rules, all this can be incredibly overwhelming. All this can be things that can, challenge us mentally. And that's where I struggle with, right? I just think, wouldn't it be easier just to end it all? But then I think to myself, whenever I start walking, whenever I start doing stuff, I tend to feel better, but it doesn't completely eradicate that feeling. It's something that helps me, kind of like having like a coping skills for anxiety or stress or depression. It's my coping skills for me to kind of alleviate that thought, right? But it's still there, and it's something that I'm struggling with. I think a lot of people are struggling with it too, especially teenagers. And we need to acknowledge this. And why it's true. And why it's true, we live in the richest country in the world, right? In America. It's also true that we have the most depressed individuals than anyone else in the world. Then why do you think that is? It comes back to this concept, just because you have free education up until high school, and then you have financial aid to go to college, it doesn't mean like everything is just smooth sailing, right? We're all human beings. There's always going to be something that we are worried about. There's always going to be something we are not so sure about, and sometimes gut feeling can be overwhelming, right? I was speaking to a parent of one of my clients. I usually work a lot with teenagers, and he can wrap his head around the fact that his daughter is self-harming herself, like, right, she's cutting herself, she feels depressed, she feels alone. She's like, she has everything she needs, she's got free education, she has a house to live in, she eats 3 square meal, you know, she has everything. I can't understand why she can't just be a normal girl. I looked at him, I'm like, I get it. I get how you feel. I used to feel the same way. And I even pointed out to him the fact that I come from Africa, right? Because he made the analogy, you know, people in Saudi Arabia or people in Africa, you know, these are people living the real hardship and they're not even complaining as much as these snowflake generations are. And I get that. I used to feel the same way. I used to feel the same way until I understand that it's not a smooth sailing road, right? Just because you're not burdened about something to eat or drink doesn't mean, you know, that feeling depressed or feeling stressed or feeling anxious about maybe your work or your school or your or whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. You know, although you're not physically feeling that you know you didn't have something to eat, you're still mentally feeling the stress of trying to accomplish something, of trying to be the person that, you know, the society wants you to be or fit in. And I explained to him, and I gave him a couple of illustrations, right? Robin Williams. Robin Williams was a great comedian, right? One of the best, if not the best, right? And he had everything you could possibly think of, but he took his own life. He hung himself. Why? Why didn't all his worldly success, why wasn't it enough? He had the whole success. He's got everything figured out. I mean, if you look at him, but he hung himself. And that tells you a lot about mental health. How about Whitney Houston? A national treasure, beautiful voice. After her tumultuous love with Bobby Brown, she overdosed. She found in her bathtub. Why wasn't her success enough? Why wasn't what she had enough? She had it all. She made millions singing. So the records went wild. Same with Robin Williams performing on stage. How about Janis Joplin or John Belushi? I mean, this is the illustration of the real suffering that you can suffer mentally, even if you're not suffering physically, even though you have a place to eat, even though you have your basic amenities, you know, then the suffering goes to a different level. And that's the suffering mostly seen in America, right? I come from Nigeria. I know what, you know, living in suffering looks like. I've seen it. But I've also seen what mental suffering looks like. And I've lived it too. And this is not a game of trying to compare the both and trying to score points of who is suffering the most. Because no one is suffering less. We're just suffering differently. It's just different. It's a different suffering. Doesn't mean it's less. Because I think part of what causes a lot of problem is that when we see one as less and ignore what one side is suffering from, we tend to create more problems for those people because we are not acknowledging that suffering and we are not acknowledging what they're feeling. You know, this is not to say we should we should entertain all kinds of feelings and all kinds of emotions. No, it's to just accommodate the real stuff, right? And not just dismiss it as frivolous or unimportant just because, you know, we feel it's not enough to be acknowledged. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, because let's try to expand our horizon a little. Let's try to expand our box. Let's not try to fit everyone inside the same box. Because if I with my own mental challenge, sometimes feeling the need to just end it all, if I just dismiss it, I might, and live in my head, it might, God forbid, it might happen. And I don't want that to happen. And I want to be successful. And it's time to stand up for the mentally challenged. It's time to stand up for mental illness. It's time to stand up for the fact that we have to be there for each of us. And if you're watching this, I want you to understand that you're not alone. If you're suffering from anything, be it depression, stress, anxiety, you're not alone. These are common things that happen. And reach out for help, or reach out to me for help. And if I can help you, I will, because I understand now. And take it from someone who have seen the both sides of the aisle, who has lived in Nigeria, in Africa, and now living in the United States. I've seen both sides. And I tell you, it's not the same. And one is not bigger than the other. They're just different.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay inspired.